So if you stick around till the end of this video, your mind will be blown. And in this video, I will show you how to get into your dream university, whether it be a state school, a top 25 school, or an Ivy League from community college. And this video is for maybe if you didn't perform the best in high school, maybe you weren't satisfied with your college admissions results in your senior year. Maybe you want a second chance at the top schools. That was me, right? I didn't get into my dream school, USC, and I wanted a second chance, right? Or this could be for somebody who wants to save money on college admission because college tuition nowadays, especially for the best schools, tends to be very expensive. And community college is a great alternative to that, but you still want to make sure you're getting in regardless, right? So if you're among this bucket, keep watching, right? But before I kind of move on and talk about what I'm going to do in the rest of the video, as in the how to get into your dream university from community college, I want to talk about some myths for a second. Because a lot of people talk about this reason, that reason, that reason of why community college is bad. And a lot of people make up stories that are just not true. And I want to debunk all of them. And the first myth about community college is that it is risky and it has a low success rate. And the truth is that it's actually not a myth. It's true. It's risky. Yes, it has a low success rate because most people don't do the right things. Because most people don't do the right things, that's why it's risky and it has a low success rate. And what lowers risk is education. And what I mean by that is if you know what are the right things to do to get into the top university, if you are educated on that, you will do those things. And if you don't know what you're doing, then it's going to be risky, right? What lowers risk is educating yourself on the things that are necessary in order to get into a top school. And most people honestly don't put in the proper amount of effort in terms of educating themselves on how to get into a top school from community college. And therefore, it's risky because the path is unclear to those students, but hopefully the rest of this video will help, right? And the second myth is that it is hard to transfer to my dream school. Whether it's Stanford, USC, UC Berkeley, or even UC Irvine, or even a state school like I don't know, University of Pittsburgh or something of the sort. I don't know, some state school. I live in the Bay Area, so I'll say Stanford State, for example, right? Um, it's hard to transfer to the dream school I want to go to. But here's the thing. USC, according to Poets and Quants, is the number one undergraduate business school from 2023. I don't know if it still is in 2024. Maybe UPenn Wharton took the place again. It might be second. But I only applied to the USC Business School. Only applied to the USC Business School and got in under a year. And the people I've taught this to had great success as well. So it's not true. It's not true. Just it's not as hard as you think. I wasn't a good student in high school. I honestly was sorry for cursing, but I was a dumbass. I still am a dumbass. But it's not as hard as you think as long as if you're doing the right things and you're educating yourself and applying yourself, right? And the third myth is I won't make friends after I transfer to university because all people say all the friends in university or all the potential people I could be friends with in university already have their friends from freshman or sophomore year. And if I transfer in sophomore or junior year, then they won't want to be friends with me or something of the reason. But I don't know whoever said this, but what's going to prevent you from making friends more than being a transfer student is one, being a terrible person. So first of all, be a cool person. And if you are a cool person, you will make friends. Just whatever cool means to you, whatever a kind, good person, cool person means to you, if you are that, you will make friends. Just maybe not in the first week, but over the span of when you're in university, you will make friends. You will have to do some adjusting as everybody else, but you will make friends. Just be a cool person, right? That's the first thing. And the second thing is that there are so many transfer students looking to meet others. You're not the only person that's going to transfer into your dream university. There's going to be many people that transfer into your dream university, right? And there's going to be so many opportunities to make friends. There's going to be orientation. There's going to be different mixers, the school hosts. There's going to be sports games, clubs, classes, other events. I don't suggest. I'm not a party person, but if you go to parties as well, you'll be meeting friends, right? there's so many opportunities to make friends. And just saying I am a transfer student so I won't make friends is such a blanket statement that is just not true. And the fourth myth is that it is better to transfer from a university to another university than from community college to another university. The reason why people think of this myth is they say, oh, in case I don't get into a top university, if case I don't transfer, I want to still have my degree, right? I want to still have my degree. Well, first of all, before I prove that this is wrong, that university to university transfer is better than community college to university transfer, before I prove that wrong, the first thing is that I want you to know many community colleges have transfer acceptance guarantees, like tag programs. That's what they call it, at least the community colleges I attended. But if you get a certain grade, GPA range, which is not really that high of a GPA, I think it's like a 3.2, which is much easier than you think in community college. I don't want you to graduate with 3.2. I want you to graduate with a 4.0, and I'll show you how to do that, right? If you have the bare minimum GPA and you take the right classes, you're guaranteed to get into a certain level of schools. Whether in California, it can be you're guaranteed UC Merced, Riverside, Davis, I think, for some majors, Irvine for some majors. If you want to try to go to I think you're also guaranteed UC Santa Barbara, but I think if you want to go for UCSD, UCLA, and UC Berkeley, that's when you actually have to apply, right? So you're at least guaranteed that. That's the first thing. But even beyond that, if you think it's better to transfer from university to another university than community college to another university, look at the data for a second. I'm using USC's data specifically because that's the school I'm most familiar with, right? USC's previous year, their fall and their transfer entering class for fall, the vast majority of new undergraduate transfer students, there are 1,300 undergraduate transfer students, vast majority came from California community colleges. The vast majority came from California community colleges, and only about 1 out of 10 of these students came from a University of California or a CSU, California State School, right? So this already proves that most people transfer from community college, and it's only a small percentage of people that go from university to another university transfer, right? So you're kind of you're playing a losing battle by saying university to university transfer is better than community college to university transfer and saying community college to university transfer is worse, right? And again, vast majority of the transfer students for USC which is a top 20 college are from California community colleges. But here's the other thing: community college courses are easier to transfer because everything is written out for you. USC has the articulation agreement, which clearly shows what classes from your community college transfer into USC. UC's, University of California, have the IGETC. They clearly show what transfer from your local community college or your chosen community college into the University of California that you decide to go to, right? And it's much harder to figure out for university to university transfer. It's much harder to figure out. You kind of have to bypass some loopholes. You kind of have to create some, you have to kind of get some permissions to see if the classes you want to transfer are transferred. But even if you do end up finding the classes you want to transfer from university to another university, even if you end up finding those courses, registering for university classes is much more competitive than registering for community college classes. Why? Because in university, you're only limited to the university you go to. For example, I know somebody who transferred from Pepperdine into USC, right? She could only take Pepperdine classes, and Pepperdine classes for the subjects she wanted to take were limited, right? And priority for class registration was given to juniors and seniors in the college. And if you can't wait till junior or senior year to take those classes because you need to get out and you need to transfer, right? And here's the other thing. You have so many more options for community college classes. You're not limited to one specific school. Because of online classes and because of the way the articulation agreement works, you can take community college classes from multiple different community college classes. I was taking I took community college classes from three community colleges at the same time. It's possible to do that, especially with online classes. I lived in Northern California, but I was taking online college classes from a college in Southern California. This is so possible. It makes it so much easier, even if you don't get the course you need to take in your community college. And if space runs out somehow, which 9 times out of 10 it doesn't, you can take it from a different community college, a course equivalent to that. And it's so much easier to find what is the course equivalent because you have things like the IGETC and articulation agreement, right? And here's the other thing, it's so much easier to get high grades in community college than it is in university classes. It is so much easier. The expectations are less in community college, meaning it's just so much easier to impress your professors and stuff like that. And there's things like curves in university classes and things like that. In community colleges, you can take online classes, which make it so much easier to get high grades. It's so much easier to get a 4.0. And here's the thing, why I'm specifically mentioning it's easier to get a 4.0, because what is the most important factor to transfer, the most important factors to transfer in order of importance, the number one thing you need to transfer are the grades. Like 95% of the battle is getting the grades. I know it's different from high school transfer, or not transfer, high school to university admissions, right? Getting directly into a university from high school, it's like 60% grades, then 40% extracurriculars and other stuff, right? No, it is 95% grades for community college transfer. And this is the most important, but don't worry, if you feel like you're a low performing student, we'll give secrets for that, right? We'll give you secrets on how you can get amazing grades, right? And then the second thing is just making sure you take the right classes on time, right? So making sure you're checking things like the articulation agreement and IGETC. And you have to make sure you have good extracurriculars and experiences. We'll talk about those as well. And you have to make sure you have good essays, and we'll talk about those as well. And how to get good recommendation letters. We'll give you an idea of how you're going to learn that in this presentation as well. So first thing, grades. Actually, wait. I put in the presentation before we even talk about the grades. How do we choose a community college? There's multiple, as I said, you can take online classes, and now because of online classes, you're not just limited to one specific community college. I live in California, so I can take I have many different options for community colleges, right? So how do I choose? The number one thing is first decide on your dream school, and think as big as you want. It doesn't matter. You'll be surprised how much easier it is than people say it is to transfer into the top schools like Stanford or UC Berkeley or MIT or USC and things like that, right? So decide on your dream school first, right? Then after you decide on your dream school and you have that on the top of your head, find out if the university school year is divided into semesters or quarters, and then choose community colleges that match that system. For example, USC and UCLA, or USC and UC Berkeley are semester systems. So I went to a community college, which are semester based, right? Or UCLA and UCSD, they're a quarter system academically, right? So maybe go to a community college that are quarter systems. I know you can still transfer classes easier. You just have to kind of check off a different couple of boxes, maybe call the admissions office, just make sure everything's going to be transferred and you won't be behind and things like that. I know even if you go to a semester community college and go to a quarter school, it is possible to transfer. So this might not be the biggest thing, but bigger than that is making sure you call the university admissions office and asking them how to transfer into their school from your chosen community college. Say you decide you want to go to Stanford, right? Call up Stanford's admissions office and say, hi, my name is X. I am from X area, and I'm going to go to this community college. I want to know how to transfer into your school for X major from community college, right? What would you recommend me to do? And they should give you resources. For example, USC would give you the articulation agreement. USC would give you the articulation agreement. UC Berkeley would give you things like the IGETC and things like that. You should have resources they give you on what classes to take. Maybe they can tell you more about extracurriculars and things like that. Maybe they can tell you about what type of grades you have to get in order to be eligible, right? Um, definitely, definitely call them and get information on how you can transfer, because what's a better resource than the university directly to know the information, right? I can only give you so much in this video, but if you call up the university admissions office directly, they can, what's going to be a better primary source than that? But say if you want, again, say if you want to go to USC, I said Stanford, say if you want to go to USC, search up USC admissions office, maybe for specifically for the business school, so search up USC Marshall Business School admissions office, call their number during business hours, tell them you want to transfer, how can I do that? Okay? Then after you do that, I want you to understand that the specific community college course classes, the specific damn, the specific community colleges you take classes from don't matter, as long as if you have a high GPA and their classes transfer to your intended universities. That's the first thing. So if I'm around like South Bay area, East Bay area, so if I went to Ohlone Community College, and the other option would have been something like De Anza Community College, right? It doesn't really matter, as long as if I get a high GPA and as long as if my classes transfer to the dream university I wanted to go to, which was USC, as long as if the classes transferred and everything was good, right? And I can check using the articulation agreement. Now, the second question is, how do I pick my classes for community college? First, refer to the resources you received when you called the university admissions office, and say you called up USC, right? Check the articulation agreement if they given you that. Maybe they given you a different resource. I expect they would give you something like the articulation agreement, right? Check the articulation agreement and plan out a schedule that fills out the requirements. For example, if your dream school, for example, was USC, choose classes based on their articulation agreement and take transferable classes that add up to the correct number of units, and usually that is 60 units minimum for 2 years in a semester school, right? That's an example. Say if I was in community college for 2 years and I wanted to transfer after 2 years, right? I should have at least taken 60 units minimum. And what's important is make sure you create a plan for community college before you even start. This is super important. People neglect this too much, right? In the end, you can only make so many mistakes, and these mistakes can cost you years. If you take the wrong classes, say if you don't get the right grades, say if you miss class registration because you didn't know you didn't plan out which were the right classes to take. You want to prevent all those mistakes, right? Because you're not here to stay in community college. You're not here to mess around. You need to get out. You need to get out of here. So create a schedule. This is an example one from a friend of mine. Her name is Mansi. When she went to community college, she planned out the courses she wanted to take. So she looked at things like, she went to UC Berkeley Business School, right? So she looked at UC Berkeley Haas Business School, the courses that would transfer from the community college she was at, and took like a day or two. It's not that long. This can take like a day maximum of just seeing which courses transfer, which courses fills out each category. Say like USC's articulation agreement says things like you need to take this many classes or this many units for category A, this many units for category B, and you just make sure you get a schedule that fills out all the classes, right? It can be in this format, or you can track it in a format like this, right? It doesn't matter, as long as if you create a plan for community college before you start. Maybe you can even ask the community college you decide to attend. You can even ask the community college you decide to attend if they can give you like an education plan template that you can fill out, right? You can even call you can even check with admissions or your counselors at community college and say, hey, is this filling out all the requirements for me to transfer into that school, right? You can check on that too. But most important, again, create a plan for community college before you start. You will stress less and you will prevent mistakes that can cost you lots of time, prevent mistakes that can cost you even years, right? You don't want to retake classes. You don't want to be taking classes again, or you don't want to take classes you know you should have been taking in the first place, right? You don't want to be taking the wrong classes. So do that. Plan your community college classes in advance to your registration date and make sure you show up to registration the second it opens, or you're going to be beaten out by other students. You need to make sure you get all the classes in time. So show up to registration. But another hack is you can check ratemyprofessor.com, as you can see ratemyprofessor.com and find the professors that are the easiest and require the least work. And if they're the easiest and require the least work, you have a higher chance of getting a high GPA, right? So this is a great resource. Check ratemyprofessor.com. And here's an important thing. If you have the option to choose online classes, choose them. Choose online classes. And why I'm saying that is because, one, it's very convenient. It saves so much time for like travel to university. Most of them don't have even lectures, so all you need to do is just do the quizzes and just do the assignments, right? And you're done. You can even finish community college online courses within a week. It's pretty cool. And you have the ability to stack classes because you're saving time. So say you're taking all classes that don't have lectures, right? You can stack all of them, and you can even do these classes. You can do double units in terms of one. For example, I took 56 units by the time I graduated, and by the time I finished my first year in community college, I completed 56. And I feel like I could have done more, honestly. I don't even think that was that bad. I feel like I genuinely could have done more. I did 56 units while I was working a job and while I was building a business at the same time and working extremely hard on that, right? So that's an answer for you. You can definitely stack classes and do too many classes in just in just in just 1 year, right? And especially, and one thing, I graduated early even while being a community college transfer student, right? I graduated early from USC even while I was a transfer student from community college. So do that. Take online classes. And on top of that, it's impossible not to get an A in an online class nowadays, especially with Mr. ChatGPT. I didn't have ChatGPT, but like, you bet I would be using that, honestly. But I know with this thing I'm saying here right now, I know what to say. People are gonna say things like, "Don't use ChatGPT. That's cheating." I'm gonna talk about that. But again, I probably wouldn't have gotten into USC in under a year without online classes. I couldn't have done it. Um, I give credit to online classes. Genuinely, they helped me get to my goals with community college admissions, right? But I know some random schmuck watching this video is gonna say, shouldn't I be learning in community college? Why am I resorting to cheap tactics to get into, I said high schools, but I meant top universities, instead of studying authentically and with hard work, right? First of all, you can absolutely do that. You are my guest to do that. I'm not going to stop you, but make sure that you have to understand, if you're trying to transfer, your grades come before your learning. Your grades come before your learning. What I mean by that is you're mostly taking GE classes. So one, there's probably nothing important to your career path or major, and two, transferring requires the best grades possible. If you can do everything quote unquote the right way, do it. And if you can still get a 4.0, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. If you feel like you can't, be careful, because you don't want to risk your GPA, right? You don't want to risk your GPA. And what I would suggest is focus on getting the grades perfect in community college. Focus on the learning after you transfer into your dream university. The professors are going to be better at your dream university. The education's going to be much better. The environment's going to be much better. And maybe if you decide you don't need to go to grad school, you just want to get it under your undergrad degree, then you don't really need to focus on getting amazing grades in university compared to community college, because you're not relying on a different result because of the grades, right? So focus on getting the grades perfect in community college. Focus on the learning after you transfer to your dream university, right? But here's the thing, I know someone's gonna ask, it's a genuine question. Like, if I'm taking online classes, what will happen to my social life? Wouldn't I get bored doing everything from my bedroom all day? This is a genuine question, right? And one, have like fun, non-academic activities. I don't know why I said and here. have fun and non-academic activities, like maybe dance classes, art classes, painting classes, something, maybe learning a new language, skill, or hobby, maybe some pick up soccer or basketball, going to the gym so you can have you can just have good interaction with other people, right? And there's a book called The 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. I didn't read the whole thing yet, but it talks about two things. It talks about how to reduce the amount of time you work by a lot, and then after you reduce the time amount of time that you work, what do you do with the rest of your free time, right? So this might be a good read for you as well. And then with the free time though, I don't want you to settle because you it's not just going to be like you're only having online classes and nothing else, because you still have extracurriculars. You still have to make sure you're getting extracurriculars. Um, yes, I did say grades are 95% of the battle, but this is still important to talk about. But again, to be clear, grades do matter. GPA does matter much more than the quality of your essays, or GPA does matter much more than the quality of your essays or the quality of your extracurriculars for transferring. And here's the thing: as long as if you can get experiences to write about, you should be fine. Take this person for example. His name is Kendrick Reed. He's a community college. He made lots of videos on YouTube about how he transferred into USC from community college. I give a lot of credit to this guy for helping on my transfer journey as well, right? Here's the thing. He, in high school, these were his stats: 3.2, not that good. SAT wasn't that good. Band as an extracurricular, essays were good, but he got into zero colleges, right? So he had to go to community college because he had no choice. But he had a 4.0 in community college. I'm sure he worked less to get here than he did here, because community college, getting high grades in community college is much easier than getting high grades in high school. He got 3 recommendation letters. He attended 2 years. He worked at Jamba Juice as his extracurricular. I'm going to make sure you get things better than this, but it worked for him, right? His essays were good. He got into every single college he applied to, right? And he went to USC. So this is evidence that you don't need amazing extracurriculars to get in. But that being said, pursue amazing extracurriculars, pursue great experiences, and get high-level internships. That's a big thing, internships. Why internships? Because the goal is to have an awesome career. College is just a stepping stone to that goal, right? So you don't want to, I made a video about this on how to choose your major. And in the video, I say you shouldn't backpedal off of your major for what you do in the rest of your life. You should only use it as a stepping stone. Same thing with college and university. College is just a stepping stone to your goal, right? And even that, I want to talk about getting internships because they do help to get an awesome career, right? And here are the steps, the spark notes on how you get good internships, right? First, you learn skills. You learn skills, then you demonstrate those skills through like things like projects or other activities, right? Then you demonstrate the ability to contribute to those skills through things like interviews, right? And then you land the internship. For example, if you wanted to intern in marketing, you would learn marketing, the skills in marketing, through courses, classes, maybe online videos and things like that. Then you would demonstrate those skills. So you would try to create like a marketing project. Maybe you would try to create a report for a company. Even if you don't work for the company, maybe think of Lululemon, for example. This is what I did in college, right? We created a strategy report for Lululemon. None of us work for Lululemon, right? But it was still an amazing strategy report. And then we take those projects and those skills to things like internship interviews, and then we demonstrate the ability to contribute, right? And then we land the internship. And this process is kind of tedious. So say if you want to become a software engineer, you're not just relying on your CS classes. You're learning CS, then you're creating CS projects on things like GitHub, maybe hackathons, things like that, right? Then you're taking what you did into your interviews. Ideally, you network with them first, so you're not just cold applying. You're talking to some people who have similar positions in terms of what you want to intern for, and then you land the internship, right? And your first internships, with the process I'm showing you here, might end up in small companies. Like this doesn't exactly work for Google off the start, right? That being said, build the experience first and leverage it to stack multiple offers in the future. You're only somebody in college right now. Who said you need to be working for Google off the bat? Who said you need to be working for Google off the bat? Build the experience and build the skills, and then get everything in the future, right? Otherwise, if you get too good of an internship or too good of a position too early, you have a chance of being laid off. You want to make sure you deserve everything you get, right? So first do that, and you'll always be in demand long term, right? And this sounds like a given. Just make sure you're performing well in your internships. That's a big one. Just making sure you're performing well in your internships. In the end, the better you perform, the better stories you're going to be able to write about in your essays. And that's another thing. How do I write my essays? Now, in the end, in order to write good essays, you need to have good activities, extracurriculars, or internships to write about. Otherwise, you're writing about irrelevant garbage, right? Your essays are basically going to be, this is what I did while I was in community college, and this is why it relates to the major I want to do, right? If you don't have anything, what are you writing about? So do this stuff here first. Do this stuff here first, right? And make sure you get, as I said earlier, make sure you get the activities and experiences relevant to your career first, then write the essays. Otherwise, you're writing about garbage, and you will be bored by admission. Admission officers will be bored by you, right? So another thing is make sure you stay on top of deadlines. Start writing the essays a minimum of a month before your applications are due, right? You want to stay on top. You don't want to be writing your essays last minute. I don't suggest that. And ideally, get professionals to check over them as well. Get some online experts to proofread it, edit it inexpensively. They edit it inexpensively. Go on Fiverr, go on Upwork, maybe search some things. Spend a couple $100 just to check, just to get people to check over your essays. Save the time and hassle. It is very worth it. Or even like good friends of yours who got into good universities or professors, get people to check over the essays, right? And speaking of professors, they'll need to give you recommendation letters as well. So how do I get good recommendation letters, right? Now, I want you to understand the first thing. Recommendation letters come as a byproduct. Letters come as a byproduct of performing well. So if your professors like you, they will be more than happy to write you a recommendation letter. But if you don't perform well in their class, they will think you're a crappy student. So how can they write a good recommendation letter about you if they don't like you? And how can they like you if you're a crappy student, right? So make sure you're getting the 4.0. Make sure your professors know you're performing well. It doesn't need to be every professor, it just needs to be a couple professors you genuinely like as well and you are close with, right? I don't want professors who I didn't like in community college to be writing recommendation letters about me. I wouldn't want that. I want professors I like and that like me to be writing the recommendation letters. Then they'll give more effort and more importance, and then they'll not like half-ass the recommendation letters, for the lack of a better word, right? And make sure to give them some grace period. Stay on top of deadlines. Ask for the recommendation letters a few months before the transfer applications are due. Ask for the recommendation letters a few months before the transfer applications are due, just in case this professor can't write the recommendation letter, then you have to ask somebody else. And you also want to give them time to write the letter, right? And you don't want to put it on them last minute because they have other stuff to do, right? So ask them a few months, give them some grace period. So this, if we were to recap this whole thing, I went on for 33 minutes on how to get into an amazing college. One, make sure you get the academics right. Make sure you get the academics right. Get a 4.0. Ideally, do online classes. You can stack multiple years of online classes in 1 year, right? And just transfer out directly and still graduate early from your dream university, right? If you want to do that, that is. And make sure you take the right classes. Make sure your classes transfer. Call up the universities. Make sure you're doing the right thing, right? Say if you want to go to Stanford, call up Stanford's admissions office and say, how can I transfer from my university to your school? What classes do I need to be taking? How do I do it? Worst case, they don't tell you anything. Try calling them. That's huge. Then the second thing is make sure you are doing elite extracurriculars, experiences, and internships. Otherwise, you won't be able to have anything to write in your essays, which you will need to document your extracurriculars and internships about, right? And even if the internships aren't exactly needed for transferring, I mean, it depends on the school. If you want to get into a school like Stanford, like definitely you'll need good experiences like internships or something equivalent to that, right? Otherwise, what are you writing about in the end, right? So make sure you get good experiences, extracurriculars, and internships to write in your essays, and make sure you get recommendation letters from your professors that like you, from liked professors, right? So that is the whole spiel about community college. I know this was a lot. I wanted to clarify myths. I wanted to clarify what people think about community college. I want to give people a clear vision and a clear path on how they can do this for themselves, right? I am very grateful for the community college transfer process and the transfer experience. I couldn't have gotten into USC otherwise. I got rejected when I applied directly at a high school, and I couldn't have gotten into my dream school, USC, without community college and the transfer process. But that being said, a lot more people need to understand it so they can make the process easier and get into better schools than they could have gotten into before, right? So I just want to say, you got this. And I know I believe in you. You will get into your dream school 100%. I don't doubt it. Just make sure you apply yourself, right? If you have any questions, put them in the comments. And I would love for you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Watch other videos of ours. I hope the other videos, just as much as this one, are very valuable to you and ideally maybe even change the trajectory of your life. Hopefully, we'll see. But once again, thank you so much for watching on the Sharp Education channel and have a good one.